Dokdo lies at the easternmost part of Korea. It is here that the first rays of the sun fall on the Korean soil. The connection between the Korean people and Dokdo stretches far back into history.
Takeshima is historically and legally part of Japanese territory.
For many Koreans, the Japanese ambassador's remark that Dokdo is Japanese territory was taken to be tantamount to a declaration of war by Japan against Korea.
주권과 관련된 이런 문제이기 때문에 이 한일 관계라든가 이런 것보다는 더 상위의 개념이라고 이렇게 할 수가 있겠습니다.
This small rocky island was given the name Dokdo, meaning Rock Island, as it is formed of rock. And yet it means much more to the Korean people than simply an island, holding special significance for them. The Council of Shimane Prefecture in Japan passed unanimously an ordinance to establish February the 22nd as Takeshima Day. A local authority in Japan blatantly challenged Korea's sovereignty over Dokdo. The intention was to stir up controversy over Korea's sovereignty over Dokdo and strengthen Japan's claim to Dokdo. The Japanese government ignored the protests by the Korean government, stating it was not in a position to meddle in the actions of local councils. The Japanese government thus implicitly backed the Shimane Council's bill on Takeshima Day.
島根県なりですね、県議会が、歴史的な経緯からそういう強い意志を持っていることは私も地元ですからよく承知しております。
Thus far, the Korean government had not shown any particular response to claims by Japan to Dokdo. However, this time it was different. The response from Korea was swift and strong.
일본 내 일각에서 일어나고 있는 독도 및 과거사 관련 일련의 행태를 과거 식민지 침탈을 정당화하려는 의식이 내재해 있는 엄중한 사안으로 보고 단호히 대처해 나갈 것입니다.
The Korean government declared this matter to be an extension of Japan's past invasion of Korea.
천연기념물 제336호로 지정된 독도의 지질과 생태에 큰 영향이 없는 한 국민들이 최대한 자유롭게 독도에 입도할 수 있도록 할 방침입니다.
As soon as it was permitted for the people to go there, tens and hundreds of Korean people started to head for Dokdo on a daily basis. Dokdo is Korean land. It has been Korean territory throughout history, and it is Korean soil to this day. No claim by the Japanese government can alter that fact. But why would Japan claim a right to this island? And why would the Korean government see in such a claim by Japan the re-emergence of the dark shadow of imperialism? Located at the easternmost end of Korea, Dokdo lies 87.4 kilometers from the nearest island of Ulongdo. Since Ulongdo became part of Korean territory in the 6th century under the central government of the ancient Korean Shilla dynasty, Dokdo has no point been excluded from Korean territory. Ever since maps started to be produced in Korea, on a great many ancient maps, Dokdo and Ulongdo have not failed to be marked as Korean territory. The same is true in many historical documents. That being the case, what are the bases for Japan claiming Dokdo as their territory? Years ago, in February 1905, a notice was issued in Shimane Prefecture, the Japanese region nearest to Dokdo. It stated that Dokdo was to be called Takeshima and placed under the jurisdiction of Shimane. This proclamation is the basis for Japan's current claim of Dokdo as its territory. Let us go back 10 years prior to the issue of the notification of Shimane Prefecture. In 1894, Japan staged a war on the Korean peninsula with China and then Qing Empire. It was a war for control of Korea, which was weakening due to its delay in modernizing. The battleground for the war was the Korean peninsula. This marked the beginning of the Japanese imperialist invasion of the Korean peninsula. Japan having secured hegemony over Korea with its victory in the Sino-Japanese War, prepared for war with its last remaining competitor, Russia. February 8, 1904, Japan launches a preemptive strike on Russia's Far Eastern Fleet in Rushen, sparking the Russian-Japanese War. Although the Korean government declared neutrality 2 weeks before the attack, the Japanese government, who had launched a preemptive strike on the Russian fleet, ignored the statement of neutrality and ordered Japanese forces to land at Incheon, Korea the following day. The Japanese forces did not delay in taking Seoul, whilst preparing for a war against Russia embarked in earnest in the process of annexation of Korea. Under the Korea-Japan Protocol of 1904, the Japanese were able to expropriate Korea's land at will. In August, Japan placed Korea's economy and diplomacy under its advisory control. Countless Korean citizens who protested against the protocol were brutally murdered by the Japanese army. The only thing left for Japan was all-out maritime war with Russia. The fight against the Baltic Fleet coming from the south and the Vladivostok Fleet from the north, the line connecting the East Sea and the East China Sea became the key strategic point. Japan constructed watchtowers at these points of strategic importance, and the last key spots of these observation points were Korea's Ulongdo and Dokdo's right in the Middle Sea of the East Sea. Ulongdo, an island neighboring Dokdo. Having taken the rights for forest and mountain resources on Ulongdo on May 1904, Japan designated part of Ulongdo for military use and constructed 2 lookout towers to observe the Russian. The site of the observation towers constructed under the Russian-Japanese War is still on Ulongdo.